Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Roundup. My name is Frankie.
And I'm Peter from Mr. Money TV.
And special thanks to the content provider today, which is The Coffee Break Newsletter.
Yes, this is one of the most interesting newsletters and I read it religiously every day because they concise daily news into just 3 minutes, and just in front of a computer, 3 minutes, you get to know exactly what happened the day before.
Yes, correct. And if you're interested to sign up to their newsletter, just find out their link in the description below.
Yep, so if you want to sound smart, go and check them out. Alright, so today we have some interesting stories lined up because last week, again as usual, with the global scene and Malaysia scene, a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Now, first thing definitely we're going to talk about is Malaysia's greatest salesman. Yeah, our dear Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who went out to get in more money for Malaysia again. And we're also going to talk about his effort of how is he going to help to strengthen the sad weakening Malaysian ringgit.
That's definitely a big concern
Yeah.
to us Malaysian today.
I think at this point right now it's about like 4 ringgit 88 cents or somewhere around there. Right?
It has strengthened back a little bit, but it's still pretty expensive compared to US dollar, right?
That's why iPhone's so expensive. Nonetheless, we're also going to touch on other things like election, smoking ban, and one thing that's very nostalgic to me, PLKN, the National Service.
Correct. We were the first batch who kena this national service in the past,
No,
right?
second batch.
Second batch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you in PLKN?
No, I wasn't chosen.
Yeah, I was.
You were.
It's
Okay.
time that I share with you guys my experience.
So let's not waste any more time. Let's go straight into our first news for today.
Now, first news starts with 40.6 billion ringgit committed investment. The keyword here is not just MOU, but committed investment from PM's visit to UAE. Now, I have a question, right?
Hey.
Isn't MOU and committed investment roughly the same thing?
No, MOU is okay, I come, but wait lah, we sign contract first, Then sometimes, all these MOU, people get busy and whatnot, or maybe they find that the feasibility study is not too great for the company as a whole, then they just, we just cancel it off.
Then what kind of papers do you sign for committed investment?
Letter of award? Things like that.
But don't have.
Yeah, so letter of award is more for companies. In terms of country, I think it's more of this kind of agreement, right? Committed investment. They tell you that I'm going to come in, which company is going to come in, how much they're going to put, what is the concrete business plan ahead.
Actually, mainly I just wanted to highlight that because at this point, what it means is that they're trying to tell you that they're committed to come in. Although there may not be any letter of award yet, feasibility study and all. But compared to a memorandum of understanding, maybe memorandum of understanding is 60-40. This one could be like 80-20 lah.
Yeah,
but I do not know, right? Since I don't work in the ministry. So probably you gotta ask Tengku Zafar or either YB Liu on this matter. Yeah. Nonetheless, just with 2 days of working, he already can bring in 40.6 billion ringgit.
Now I wish he fly more often. Fly more often, get more deals back.
I was also thinking of myself, 40.6 billion. I'm not sure I can bring in my 2 lifetimes. Nonetheless, for this particular one, they are really talking about investment across multiple sectors, especially in the area of renewable energy. They did talk about aerospace as well and logistics, but I think the main focus here that they highlight was actually a company called Masdar. It's actually an Abu Dhabi company that focuses on energy. They do a lot of renewable energy projects, and their goal is actually to make the world a net zero emission cutting.
Wow, that's a very ambitious target, right?
To
make the
that's
world
right.
net zero.
That's right. And they actually even set a time about it, but I can't really remember. But you guys can go and check it out on their website. But they do have investment in Indonesia as well. And it's actually a floating solar farm.
Oh, interesting. Actually, Malaysia also have one in Negeri Sembilan. It's built by this company called Saipark. But I think compared to what Abu Dhabi does, probably the scale is a lot smaller.
Yeah. And they're talking about this particular company, Masdar, will actually be investing up to 37.8 billion ringgit in the development of renewable energy projects with a 10 gigawatt capacity in Malaysia.
Wow, so it's actually 90% of the entire 40.6 billion.
That's right. Now, this is what we're going to be talking about, right? If you look at how big is the scale of 10 gigawatt, 1 gigawatt can actually supply energy to estimated about 700,000 homes. So now you're talking about 7 million homes. Means literally this project itself can supply the whole Malaysia's household electricity.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Roughly about there, right? No.
Malaysia, I think roughly around 9 million household, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, no lah, we have. Is it
Correct, we
9
have
now?
33 million people.
33 million
So
people.
if 3 people stay in one household, you have roughly around 9 million
Yeah lah.
houses.
So roughly it can provide quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it's gonna give a real big boost. But this also helps us to see that where Malaysia is headed to. Malaysia is truly trying to head towards a country where energy is abundant and it's easily available and cheap.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the direction that Malaysia is headed to. And that's the reason why there are more and more industry that need a lot of energy are coming into Malaysia, because what they say is this: if they go to Singapore, not enough energy already. But at least Malaysia got, and the community is still well educated.
Yep.
So we can see how this is actually moving on in line with the growth of the nation. By the way, Frankie, renewable energy projects is not the only thing that is pushing Malaysia. Apparently, our PM also did some things that are really interesting in the effort of increasing the value of Malaysian ringgit.
Yes, correct. So if you recall, right, during the pandemic and during some political instability in the country, it has caused the ringgit drop by tremendous amount.
Oh yeah, I've never seen ringgit so low, aside from like after the
97
financial crisis, right?
in-
Yeah, now it's like everyone is saying that it's gonna be 5 ringgit soon. That's what everyone says lah, right? Whether will it happen, we do not know.
Yeah. Yeah, so one way to strengthen the ringgit again is to create demand for the ringgit. And one way to do it is to encourage businesses to trade using ringgit.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this can happen when actually companies come in and invest into Malaysia, when they need to set up shop, hire people. It means that they need to buy more ringgit to spend it in Malaysia.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he also did something that is really interesting as well. And that is between Malaysia-China bilateral relationship. He
Yes.
actually say it, I wouldn't say committed, but he say that the trade transaction with China, 28% of it will be done in ringgit. That's quite a statement to make, huh?
Yeah, so to give you some context, right, 28% of the trade transaction works out to around 57 billion US dollar or 289 billion ringgit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so for those of you who are actually not really familiar with this, you have to understand that when it comes to international trade, the dominating currency is usually the USD. So whatever they're going to sell overseas or either import in, you need to pay in USD. But when a country is confident enough to go and negotiate this and say, hey, no, I don't want it to be done in USD, I want it to be done in my currency. That was what China did. They got them into trouble anyway. Yeah, I hope this doesn't get Malaysia into trouble, because ultimately we are still a small country, right? But when you're able to do that, it means that there's more demand for Malaysian ringgit, and hopefully it strengthens our currency.
Yeah. How it's strengthened is that, let's say, for example, a Chinese company wants to buy Malaysian commodities, let's say oil and gas. They would have to convert their Chinese yuan into ringgit. So when they do that conversion, right, it's going to create demand for the ringgit, and that is the main reason why the ringgit is able to strengthen.
Now, at the end of the day, do you think this will work for Malaysia to help strengthen the Malaysian ringgit? Now, tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Nonetheless, a strengthening of Malaysian ringgit is truly important, because these days, things are just getting more and more expensive thanks to the expensive exchange rate lah.
Yeah, correct.
All right, moving on to the next story here. We are going to talk about election, right? And remember last week we talked about Pelangai by-election?
Yeah.
Remember the time Sanusi actually went over, and then our TPM, Zahid, actually said like, hey, you know why you don't care about the flood? And then you just go over there for the election thing.
Yes.
Now the results is out. And Barisan Nasional actually won. But with the twist, right? Here's what happened. They won with a smaller majority.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think that means?
Well, it definitely means that PN is garnering more and more support, but it means that the government has to buck up in that area so that going forward in the next general election, they don't lose the seat lah.
Yeah, I do see that this has been a common theme recently, right?
Correct.
With a lot of things, is that while PH still, or either BN, is still able to maintain and win a particular seat, but the majority becomes slimmer. And that's really, really telling you something about the sentiment of the people. But
Correct.
I believe that deserves a more in-depth analysis for another day. Nonetheless, the interesting thing was this. So, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, during the campaign period, he actually suggested that if they win this, they can actually take over the whole Pahang state government, and they'll put Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man as the Menteri Besar of the state. Well, what do you think?
Wow, that's a very big suggestion over there, but unfortunately they didn't win, so maybe better luck next time.
All right. Definitely coming up the corner is another by-election that will be Jepat Sarawak on the 4th of November. Yes. So we'll see how that turns out on that time.
Yeah. Remember when KJ was the health minister? He tabled this thing called the Tobacco Generation Endgame.
Oh yeah, the GEG, where
Yes.
people after year 00, right, are not allowed to buy any cigarettes. no
Cigarette,
matter how old
tobacco
you
lah.
are.
Any forms of tobacco you are not allowed to buy anymore. It actually gathered a lot of different kinds of debates. Some people say that it is good for the country. Some people say it is not so great because you will lose a lot of revenue.
To stop there for a while, right? What do you think? Do you think it's actually good or bad that we have this generational endgame thing?
So I think for personal health reason, I think definitely that's good. Because, you know, people tend to not be able to control their own nafsu, right? So when the kick is there, they just want to go and smoke. But when you have a generation end game, there's no way for you to buy tobacco.
Yeah, correct. But
Right.
if you think about it, right, then shouldn't you also ban alcohol and everything else? Yeah, exactly. At the moment it's bad, then please don't use it, right?
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
So then the thing is this, right? Isn't also a question of like you're not allowing people to do, you know, what they want to a certain extent. Well, that's a topic for another day. And what do you guys think? Do you think that GEG is actually the right move? Is it a good thing? Tell us in the comment below. But nonetheless, let's look at some numbers and figures. Apparently, with this GEG thing, it's going to affect our national revenue, right?
Yes, definitely, because there are less tax to collect. So, according to a study done by the Oxford University, right, they say that this end game, right, could lead to a potential loss of 346 million ringgit worth of GDP. So, if let's say this GEG is being implemented, right, the government could potentially lose 346 million ringgit worth of GDP, according to a research done by Oxford University.
Yeah. Because at the moment you're not allowed to sell, then what happens is a lot of offices will close,
Correct.
and then jobs will be gone. I think there's
Yeah.
estimated about like 2,700 jobs that will be lost in Malaysia.
Yeah, when you don't allow people to sell cigarette legally, what happens is people will turn to illicit cigarette.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true.
So that market today is already worth 1.2 billion ringgit. So if you stop people from buying cigarette legally, so definitely this market share is going to grow bigger. Chances are it's going to grow higher than 1.2 billion.
That's right. This is where when I look at like Singapore like that, right?
Yeah.
I came to learn one thing, right? What Singapore did is that they just made cigarette very, very expensive. Like extremely expensive, right?
Until it is not affordable lah.
Yeah, 20 over Sing dollar for one packet of cigarette. Yeah,
correct.
crazy, right? And even with that, there's multiple Telegram groups that people are selling vape and illegal cigarettes and whatnot.
True.
Yeah, so it's still gonna happen because people being people, right? Yeah, same thing, right? Prostitution is not allowed, but if you walk out to the streets, there's plenty of brothels in both Klang Valley and all across the world and Malaysia, lah, right? So these are some of the questions that I'm really asking myself, right? Is it right to have this generational endgame? And ultimately, at what expense and what's the real effect? And how effective is it if the goal is to really stop people from smoking?
But the good thing about this GEG bill, right, is that if you don't smoke, you'll be healthier.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and you know today medical cost is so expensive, right? You know, insurance costs also become more and more expensive. But if you have less health issue because you don't smoke, then all these bills add up, right? Potentially you could save up to 6.21 billion ringgit according to a survey.
Yeah, that is true. Apparently, it's also expected to increase furthermore, right? By 2030, they're expecting about 8.77 billion related to smoking issues health problem, right?
So if you think about it, right, on one end you save 8.77 billion, but on the other end you are just losing a tax revenue of around 340 over million. So I think the math still makes sense, right?
I guess this one at the end of the day, it comes down to what you guys think. So why don't you guys write down in the comments below what are your thoughts about this and tell us, do you think Generation Game is actually a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay, Peter, remember at the start of the video you said that you were chosen to attend the national service.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was a 3 months program, PLKN. We just started. The only sad thing is this, I missed the one where we get to hold the gun. Right? The batch after me is the one that get to use the gun. Or either
Right.
before me. I think it was
After,
before,
probably it's
yeah.
after you, right? Because people thought, hey, you just go for a summer camp, not so good, so they introduced the gun as well. Yeah, so I remember that.
That's a good opening. Hey, summer camp is not enough. Let's give you a gun.
Yeah. But do you know all these addition, the guns, the uniforms and all that? Do you know how much it cost during your time or not?
Oh, I remember it was an absurd amount of money.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
500 million ringgit.
Woo! true.
I think because it is so expensive, but you end up like attending a summer camp like that, so the government decided to stop it after a couple of years.
True, because at first they were saying that this is a national service. It's supposed to help you to become more patriotic and also kind of like train you to be the next group of reservists, right? For National Guards or military. But the truth is that the 3 months there is more like summer camp now, I'll just be very honest. I don't think I'm battle ready. Okay, if tomorrow there's war, please don't call me.
You are supposed to be a reserve army.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready. But the hell, during that time, I remember this one thing, right? The equipment that they gave was good.
Oh, really?
Yes, okay, don't say about the t-shirt and everything, bad quality and all that, right? But I remember when they gave us those, they call it Cheloreng, which is the real military clothes. Hey, that clothes is fantastic, you know. First time I wear, right, I came to learn one thing. When the weather is hot, inside is not very hot.
Oh, serious?
When the weather is cold, inside remains
warm.
the same warm. And when you climb around everything, the canvas is so thick, it will not cut you. That baju is expensive, yo.
Wow. I didn't have the experience, so I couldn't share anything. But wow, hearing from you.
Yeah. So I came to learn some of the stuff.
Okay.
But if you ask me whether does it make you more patriotic, does it make you more battle ready? My answer is no lah.
I think because of that, the government decided to scrap it, right? But then after that, they thought that maybe we should bring it back, you know. We need to prepare our youth to become more patriotic. So they reintroduced National Service in 2016. But again, somehow, I think it's because of the cost also lah. Then they stopped it after 2 years again.
Yeah.
So in 2018, stop.
So apparently this time round when they plan to introduce it, the estimated cost should be at about like 700 million if I'm not wrong. Which is a lot of money, you know. I mean, the nation is in dire need of money, and would this money be better off spent somewhere else? That's a question that I really want to ask.
Right. Oh, this time round, it is not 700 million. This time round, because it is only to be 45 days only, so the cost is only going to cost 100 million. It is not 700 million. It's only
100 million. For one
Only
batch.
100 million.
For one batch.
Okay, I don't know whether it is one batch or for the entire program.
Right.
But the thing is, even for one batch, right, you're only talking about 10,000 people.
But for what?
45 days, it's even lesser than 3 months that you went through. And you say that after 3 months, you are not battle ready. So I really don't know what they can do in 45 days.
Yeah, I really don't know, man. Might as well give this 100 million as a scholarship to people to upskill themselves.
Yeah, or they really want to become a military personnel, give them double down the money and make them a combat,
So this is
rainbow.
also another thing, right? That this 100 million is going to be part under which ministry? Yeah, is it going to be under KBS? Is it going to be under National Defense Ministry or what? Right, that's also another question. And number two, ultimately, is that for what? Right? But I guess this is beyond my pay grade. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think the PLKN should be brought back to Malaysia again? And those of you who have joined PLKN before, why not put there in the comment and tell us whether does it really help you to become more patriotic or battle ready? Yeah.
Okay, we have come to the end of today's episode of Weekly Roundup. If you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channels. And hope to see you guys again in our next episode of Weekly Roundup.
All right. See you guys. Take care.